My in-laws insisted I sell my car to pay for my niece's tuition, claiming family comes first. When I refused, they called me selfish and told my husband to divorce me. He agreed, saying, "You've changed." I laughed and replied, "Funny, so have the beneficiaries on my will." I met my husband, David, during our college years in Chicago. We were both studying business administration at the University of Illinois, and our paths crossed during a group project in our junior year. David was charismatic, with a knack for leadership that drew people to him. I was more reserved, preferring to work behind the scenes, but we complemented each other well. Our professional collaboration soon blossomed into a personal relationship, and by the time we graduated, we were inseparable. After college, we decided to settle in Naperville, a suburb of Chicago known for its excellent schools and family-friendly environment. We purchased a modest three-bedroom house on a quiet street lined with maple trees. David secured a position at a reputable marketing firm downtown, while I took on a role as a financial analyst at a local bank. Our life seemed to be on the right track, and we often spoke about our future, children, career advancements, and growing old together in our cozy home. David's family was a significant presence in our lives. His parents, Robert and Susan, lived about an hour away in Evanston. They were traditionalists who believed in close family ties and often emphasized the importance of collective well-being over individual desires. David's younger sister, Laura, was a single mother to her daughter, Emily. Emily was a bright and ambitious teenager with dreams of attending Northwestern University, her top choice for college. The topic of Emily's college education became a frequent subject during family gatherings. Laura, who worked as a part-time nurse, expressed concerns about the steep tuition fees at Northwestern. She had some savings, but knew it wouldn't be enough to cover all the expenses. David's parents, while supportive, were retired and living on a fixed income, making it challenging for them to contribute significantly. One Sunday afternoon, during a family barbecue at our home, the conversation took a turn that I hadn't anticipated. We were all seated on the patio, enjoying grilled burgers and corn on the cob, when Susan broached the subject. "Emily's been accepted to Northwestern," Susan announced, a proud smile on her face. "That's wonderful news." I responded genuinely. "Congratulations, Emily." Emily beamed. "Thank you. I'm really excited about it." Laura sighed. "We're thrilled, but the tuition is quite steep." "I've been crunching the numbers, and it's going to be tight." Robert cleared his throat. "We've been discussing possible solutions as a family." He exchanged a glance with Susan before continuing, "And we believe that, as a family, we should come together to support Emily's education." I nodded. "Of course, education is important." "What are the options you're considering?" Susan looked directly at me. "Well, dear, we were thinking that perhaps you could sell your car to help fund Emily's tuition." I was taken aback. My car, a vintage 1967 Ford Mustang, was more than just a vehicle to me. It had been a gift from my late grandfather, who had been a classic car enthusiast. We had spent countless hours restoring it together during my teenage years, and it held immense sentimental value. "Sell my car?" I echoed, ensuring I had heard correctly. Laura chimed in, "Yes, it's a valuable asset. The proceeds could cover a significant portion of the tuition." I glanced at David, expecting him to interject, but he remained silent, his gaze fixed on his plate. Taking a deep breath, I replied, "I understand the importance of Emily's education, and I want to support her. However, my car holds deep sentimental value. It's one of the few connections I have left to my grandfather." Susan's expression hardened. "Sometimes we have to make sacrifices for the greater good of the family." Robert nodded in agreement. "Family comes first. We all need to pitch in where we can." Feeling cornered, I said, "I can contribute in other ways, perhaps monthly financial support or helping Emily find scholarships. But selling my car isn't something I'm willing to do." The atmosphere grew tense. Laura's face flushed with frustration. "It's just a car. Emily's future is at stake here." Before I could respond, David finally spoke up. "Let's not pressure her. It's her decision." Relieved by his support, I added, "I appreciate the family's understanding. Let's explore other avenues to support Emily." The conversation shifted, but an undercurrent of tension remained for the rest of the evening. In the following days, I noticed a change in David's demeanor. He became distant, often retreating into silence during our interactions. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, I decided to address the elephant in the room. "David, is everything okay? You seem distant," I inquired gently. He sighed, setting down the knife he was using to chop vegetables. I feel caught between you and my family." I reached for his hand. "I understand this is a difficult situation, but I need you to support my decisions, especially when it concerns something so personal." He nodded slowly. "I do support you. It's just hard to see my family upset." "I know," I said softly, "but we need to stand together as a team." He squeezed my hand. "You're right. We'll find another way to help Emily." A few weeks passed. Things seemed to calm down, at least on the surface. David was trying to be present again, but something in his eyes had changed. He wasn't really looking at me the same. I'd catch him staring off into space, lost in thought, and when I asked what was on his mind, he'd brush it off with, "Just work stuff." But then the text messages started. One afternoon, David left his phone on the kitchen counter while he went out to walk the dog. It buzzed. Normally, I'd never go through his phone, but the preview on the lock screen caught my attention. "Laura, did you talk to her yet? She's being unreasonable. You need to put your foot down." I didn't open the message. I just stared at it. When David got back, I asked him about it directly. He looked caught off guard. "She's just stressed," he said quickly. "Don't take it personally." "I didn't realize you two were talking about me behind my back," I said quietly. He looked away. "She's family. She vents." "So I'm not family?" He didn't answer. The next week, Susan showed up unannounced at my office during lunch. I saw her through the glass doors of the bank, waving as if everything was normal. I met her outside, surprised and confused. "We need to talk," she said. I hesitated. "Now?" She nodded. We went to the small cafe across the street. She ordered a tea. I didn't order anything. "I've tried to stay quiet," she started, "but I can't anymore." "You're being selfish. This isn't just about a car. It's about values. It's about loyalty." I kept my voice low. "I'm not selling my car." She leaned in closer. "Then maybe you don't belong in this family." I blinked. "Excuse me?" David deserves someone who understands what it means to sacrifice. Maybe it's time he found someone who shares those values. I stood up and walked out. My hands were shaking. I couldn't believe she'd just said that to my face. That night, I confronted David again. He was on the couch, scrolling through his phone. "Your mom came to my job today." He looked up. "She did what?" "She told me you should find someone who shares your values." He looked stunned for a second. I didn't know she was going to do that. I didn't believe him. "But you agree with her, don't you?" He didn't say anything. I nodded slowly. "Right." He finally said it. "You've changed." That was it. That's all he had. No defense. No explanation. Just that I'd changed. I laughed bitterly. "Funny, so have the beneficiaries on my will." His face went pale. "What's that supposed to mean?" he asked. I turned and walked to our bedroom. I didn't answer. I didn't owe him anything at that point. What made it worse was what came next. Over the next few days, word started getting out in the family. Cousins I barely spoke to were calling me greedy. Laura posted some vague nonsense on Facebook about how real family shows up when it counts, not when it's convenient. I knew it was about me, but I wasn't sitting quietly anymore. I called my lawyer. I changed my will. I updated the title on my car. And then I started noticing something odd with our joint bank account. Small transfers. Nothing major, but consistent. When I asked David, he brushed it off. Just helping Emily with books and stuff. Books and stuff didn't cost hundreds a week. I pulled the records. He'd been sending Laura money behind my back. He wasn't just agreeing with them, he was actively going against me. Using our shared money. Without even telling me. I printed the statements and left them on the dining table. He saw them that night. Said nothing for a long time. Finally, I did what I had to do. That's when I knew it was over. Not just the marriage. The illusion. He wasn't the man I thought he was. And his family wasn't a family, they were a pack. Tight, ruthless, and willing to tear down anyone who didn't fall in line. They expected me to fold. To play the part. To sacrifice what mattered to me, for a niece whose parents couldn't budget, for in-laws who saw me as a tool, not a person. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I wasn't going to be the one who walked away ashamed. I had a few moves left. And I was going to make sure every one of them counted. A few days later, David came home late, reeking of alcohol. It wasn't the first time, but this time felt different. He dropped his keys louder than usual, kicked off his shoes, and stumbled into the kitchen like he didn't care who heard him. I stayed on the couch, watching him from the living room. He pulled a beer from the fridge, even though he was already half gone. "Want to talk about it?" I asked, keeping my voice even. He didn't answer right away. Just leaned on the counter, head down. Finally, he muttered, "You're making everything harder." I stood up, slow and calm. "No, I'm just not letting your family walk all over me." He turned toward me, face red, eyes glossy. "You used to care. About all of us." I crossed my arms. "I still care. I just care about myself now too." He scoffed, opened his mouth like he had something else to say, but he didn't. Instead, he grabbed his phone and stormed upstairs. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something was off. I could feel it in my chest. The next morning, I saw it. Laura had tagged David in a photo. It was from the night before. At a bar. With her and another woman I didn't recognize. The caption? "Family nights out are the best. So proud of my brother for standing up for what's right." Comments were pouring in. Praise. Thinly veiled jabs at me. People I hadn't seen in years, college friends of David, distant cousins, suddenly popping up to say how strong he was for dealing with a toxic marriage. Toxic. They were calling me toxic. I didn't say a word to him that morning. I got dressed, drove to work, kept my head down. But my mind was running. I started digging deeper into our finances. Found another account. Not joint. Not ours. His. Under his name only. Opened a few months ago. Right after the first family meeting about the car. It had several deposits from our joint account. Transfers he'd labeled as house expenses, repairs, and utilities. But none of that added up to what I was seeing in this hidden account. Over $12,000. And there it was, one large outgoing payment. Made just last week. To Northwestern University. The payment memo read, "Spring semester tuition, Emily R." I sat at my desk, heart pounding. He'd done it. He'd used our money. Lied about it. Hid it. Paid her tuition behind my back. That night, I didn't wait for him to come home. I printed the bank records. Highlighted everything. I put it all on the dining table. But I didn't stay. I packed a bag. Took my car. Drove to a hotel across town. Somewhere quiet. I needed space to think. Around midnight, he called. Then again. Then texts. "Where are you? We need to talk." I can explain. He couldn't. What made it worse? Laura messaged me. Actually messaged me directly, bold as hell. "You made this harder than it had to be. But thank you for finally doing the right thing. Emily's future is secure now. You'll understand someday." I stared at the message for a long time. I wanted to scream. Or throw my phone. But instead, I replied, "Good luck explaining to Emily that her education is built on lies. She deserves better than this circus." No reply. 2 days later, I went to see my lawyer again. I wanted the divorce process started. But I also wanted to do one more thing. I'd kept quiet about something. Something David had always taken for granted. My name was the only one on the house deed. When we bought it, his credit wasn't great. So the loan and the title went in my name. We'd always said we were a team. But legally, it was mine. He didn't know I'd never changed that. I handed the documents to my lawyer. "I want to sell it. Immediately. I'm moving out." She blinked. "He doesn't know?" "Nope." She nodded slowly. "This is going to get messy." "Let it." I didn't stop there. I emailed his job. Anonymously, of course. Attached the financial records. Let them know one of their senior managers had been using personal accounts and joint funds in unethical ways. No threats. Just facts. Documents speak for themselves. I wasn't done being the villain in their story. If they were going to paint me as the bad guy, I'd at least play the part right. But the best part? I hadn't touched my own savings. While David was busy bleeding our shared money dry, I'd been building a separate account. Quietly. Strategically. No big moves. Just enough to start over, far away from him and his family. The walls were closing in, and David didn't even see it coming. And I still had one more ace left to play. The storm finally hit on a Wednesday. David came home and found the house half empty. Furniture gone. Closets cleaned out. No warning. Just silence and an envelope on the table with my wedding ring inside it, along with copies of the house deed and my lawyer's letter. I wasn't there to see his face, but I heard about it. He showed up at my job the next day. Security stopped him at the front desk. He begged to talk to me. Said he was sorry. Said he didn't mean to hurt me like that. That was rich. I met him in the parking lot. Just stood there and waited for him to speak. I messed up, he said, eyes red. I shouldn't have done it. I got caught up trying to make everyone happy. You did everything but that, I said. He nodded slowly, like he finally understood. But it was too late. I lost you, he whispered. No, I said. You gave me away. And they were happy to take me off your hands. I turned and walked back inside. A week later, he was served divorce papers. And the listing for the house went live. I priced it low for a quick sale. I didn't want the money. I wanted the closure. Then came the fallout. His job opened an investigation. Turns out, he'd used company time and resources to move our money into that secret account. Fired within days. Quietly. No big announcement. Just gone. Laura posted again, more cryptic nonsense. About some people taking things too far. Her tone wasn't so smug anymore. Then I found out Emily had dropped out of Northwestern. The payment had bounced. David had tried to reverse it after I confronted him, probably hoping to fix it. But the timing was off. And without his job, there was no backup plan. She was devastated. I actually felt bad for her. She didn't deserve to be the pawn in all this. But I didn't reach out. She had a mother. Aunts. Grandparents. Let them clean up the mess this time. A month passed. The house sold. I moved states, somewhere warm, quiet, and far from all of them. And then, the final twist. I got a message request from Susan, the mother-in-law. Just one sentence. You ruined everything. I stared at the screen. And I smiled. I typed back, no. I just stopped pretending it wasn't already ruined. I hit send and blocked her. That was the last time any of them ever heard from me. And that car, the one they tried to take from me? Still mine. Still runs smooth. Still beautiful. Every time I drive it, windows down, music up, sun on my face, I remember who I am. Not a villain. Not a doormat. Just someone who finally chose herself. And I don't regret a damn thing.